Hey everyone, welcome to the Bold and Beautiful 24. I'm Alessio, and I'm so excited to have you here. If you love Bold and Beautiful, then you're in the right place. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Alright, let's dive right in.
It was the most chaotic situation anyone has ever seen in a hospital room. Every breath seemed heavy, oppressive, and intolerable due to the tension in the air, which appeared to crawl across the skin. At the middle of it all was John Finn Finnegan, his body tense and his eyes burning with a rage no one would have thought he was capable of. After years of curing and calming people, Finn, the calm, kind doctor, now appeared to be a tempest unleashed. He spat out the words that no one ever thought he would say, "Arrest her." His voice rattled the walls. The room fell silent for a millisecond, as if everyone needed time to absorb the bitterness and finality of his words. "I don't care, she's pregnant." Then, when the truth of what he had just requested struck in, the emotions started with accusations, protestations, tears, and gasps all crashing into one frantic commotion. Wide-eyed and shaking, Luna Nozawa was hardly able to process what had just transpired. As if shielding the helpless life within from the vicious power of Finn's fury, her hands automatically moved to clutch her stomach. She felt the words pierce her like blades. She was pregnant, but he didn't care. The fact that she was having a kid, one that was connected to him, his family, and his entire world, didn't matter to him. Finn saw Luna as a criminal who had crossed a boundary so heinous that even her pregnancy couldn't protect her from the wrath of justice. Not a helpless lady or a young mother-to-be at that one instant. Her eyes began to well up with tears, but she fought the need to cry because she knew that if she did so in front of everyone, she would be confessing defeat. And Luna Nozawa had fought too hard, and survived too much to ever give up so easy. However, her voice, which was just above a whisper and was frail and breaking, betrayed her. "Finn, how can you say that to me? How come you're so against me when I'm carrying?" Finn interrupted her before she could finish, saying, "Don't you dare." His jaw was clenched so tightly that it was painful, and his finger was pointing at her like an arrow. "You have no right to use that infant as a shield of any kind. You have no right to try to make us all feel sorry for you. Luna, you made your decisions. You have deceived, plotted, and ruined lives, and now you believe that pregnancy makes all of it go away? No, not now. Not with me." His tone left no room for compromise or negotiation, and his words echoed like a gavel slamming down in a courtroom. "You're not walking away from this." After observing the explosion from a distance, Steffi Forrester finally came forward, her own rage mingled with astonishment. Even though she had sought penalties for Luna, she hadn't anticipated that her husband Finn would take it this far. "Finn, wait," she pleaded, her voice firm but tinged with sympathy. "Like you, I want her out of our lives, but calling the police? Arresting her throughout her pregnancy? Is that something you truly want on your conscience? She is expecting a baby. This is not what that baby asked for. Because of Luna's transgressions, that infant doesn't deserve to suffer." Finn, however, was unconvinced. He didn't even give Steffi a glance. Like a prosecutor giving a death sentence, his hard, unwavering gaze stayed fixed on Luna. "The infant will be all right. The infant will receive the necessary treatment. However, Luna must take responsibility for her actions. As a doctor, I took an oath to save lives, but I also took an oath to defend my family as a husband, father, and man. And I will not allow her to harm us once more. Not with all that she has stolen from us." At the end, his voice broke not out of weakness, but rather from the sheer weight of the grief that fueled his rage. "Not after what she did to me, to you, to all of us." Not only was there wrath, but there was also betrayal, heartache, and the indescribable pain of someone who has attempted to forgive too many times only to be stabbed in the back once more. Bill Spencer suddenly rushed into the room, his face flushed with a mixture of anger and dread. He had only heard bits and pieces of the mayhem, but it was enough to make him surge in like a charging bull. His protective instincts sprang to life as soon as his eyes spotted Luna. "What on earth is happening here?" His loud voice caused even the security guards outside to pause as he demanded. "No one is taking her into custody. Can you hear me? No one. For heaven's sake, she is pregnant." Bill approached Luna and positioned himself to defend her, his arm protectively across her shoulders as though he could physically stop Finn's rage. Do you haul her away in shackles over my lifeless body? Finn, you've gone completely insane. Unfazed, Finn retaliated against Bill, his chest heaving as he did so. Bill, get out of here. This is not your battle. It's not, for crying out loud. With paternal fury pouring in his eyes, Bill snarled. My grandchild is being carried by that young lady. My blood. Do you want her taken into custody? All right. However, you must first go via me. The room shook when Bill said. And I promise you, Finn, you don't want that fight. This was no longer just about Luna. It was about family, legacy, bloodlines, and the innate desire to defend oneself. Immediately, the room split. Hope grabbed her chest, Ridge looked at Steffi in horror, and Brooke gasped loudly in the hallway. Justice versus mercy, law versus blood, Finn versus Bill. It was all escalating into conflict. Luna too? In the midst of it all, Luna sat with her hands shivering over her tummy, her body trembling with dread, and her heart divided between being devastated by Finn's anger and being grateful for Bill's protection. She had never in her worst dreams thought it would come to this. The guy she had once trusted with her life now wanted her carried away like a criminal, and the only thing between her from ruin was the man who had a brutal reputation for crushing adversaries. Finn had ensured that the cops were already en route, and everyone in that room knew there was no going back when the siren's distant cries started to reverberate through the night. This was not just a family quarrel. This was the type of incident that permanently destroyed lives and the type of choice that left wounds that could never be healed by apology. And no matter the price, Finn was prepared to see it through, his eyes blazing with fire and his palms balled into fists. With each second that went by, the eerie, faint sound of sirens became louder, serving as a somber reminder that they had already reached the point of no return. Inside the hospital room, it seemed as though time had slowed to a crawl, with each heartbeat being amplified, each breath being sharpened, and each glance between them being laden with meaning and fear. In addition to her terror, Luna's stomach twisted from the little, fluttering kicks that served as a reminder that she wasn't fighting this battle alone. The growing storm surrounding her drowned out her voice as she muttered, almost to herself, "Please, not now, not like this." With his piercing look fixed on Finn, Bill Spencer tightened his hold on Luna's shoulder, his presence as unyielding as steel. "Are you even aware of what you're doing?" His voice rumbled like distant thunder as he raged. "You believe you're keeping your family safe? No, Finn. You're ruining it." His remarks held a cruel weight, but Finn didn't bat an eyelid. "You're tearing this entire family apart. Your wife, your children, your career, your reputation. Everything you claim to be protecting will be nothing but ashes if you go through with this madness." Not even a little. Finn's eyes blazed with a conviction that verged on obsession, and his jaw tensed. "Do you believe this to be insane? Bill, you have no idea what craziness is. Luna introduced madness into our life. Falsehoods. Manipulation. Plans that endanger everyone. She is no longer allowed to act like the victim. Not with me. With the law, no." His voice was rising again, sharper, more dangerous, echoing down the hallway where doctors and nurses had already stopped in their tracks, whispering, watching, unable to take their eyes off the explosive spectacle unfolding in front of them. "I won't let her slither her way out of this with crocodile tears and your so-called protection." At last, Luna found her voice, shaky but powerful enough to cut through the atmosphere. Her eyes darted frantically between Steffi and Finn as she exclaimed, "I'm not a monster. Yes, I did make mistakes, but I never intended to harm you, Finn. You are more familiar with me than this." She stepped forward shakily, her hands protectively cradling her stomach as though to protect her unborn child from his anger. "You know I'm not capable of the things you're accusing me of. This infant is innocent. Finn, please. For the baby, if not for myself. Avoid doing this." However, the rage returned with a force, and Finn's eyes only softened for a few moments before hardening once more. "Luna, I'm done hearing your lies. I will not give you another chance. You have exploited us each and every time we have trusted you. And after all you've done is leave destruction in your path. You want to stand here gripping your stomach like a sainted expectant mother? No. Enough is enough." His voice broke as he said, "I won't let my family suffer because of you again." The words were laden with years of bottled-up anger, betrayal, and disappointment. Torn between her husband and the terrifying scene that was about to unfold, Steffi finally stepped in once more, her voice more stern and demanding than before. "Finn, consider what you are doing." She pushed him, placing herself squarely between him and Luna, making him face her rather than his intended victim. "You're requesting that a pregnant woman be taken away in handcuffs by the police. Are you aware of how that appears? Are you aware of the pandemonium that will break out, not only within our family but throughout the entire city? People will perceive you as a monster rather than a guardian. Your career will be destroyed by them. Your name. All of your creations." But Finn's determination remained unwavering. "Then let it all burn," he murmured in a chilly, low voice. "I would rather be hated for standing up for what's right than loved for allowing evil to flourish." Bill moved forward at this point, his temper erupting and his urge for protection running wild. He growled and positioned himself directly in front of Luna, his imposing frame defying Finn to take the next step. "That's it," he said. "Do you want her taken into custody? You will then need to pass through me. Furthermore, Finn, you are no longer only dealing with a husband's pledge or a doctor's oath. Dollar Bill Spencer is the one you are interacting with." His eyes glowed with a lethal determination that had built his empire and crushed innumerable opponents. "And I don't lose battles when it comes to my family." It got louder as heavy feet pounded down the corridor. The police were on the way. The already oppressive atmosphere was soon drained of oxygen when two police in uniform entered the room, followed shortly by a sergeant. In a cool, collected tone, one of them said, "We received a report regarding a disturbance and potential charges being brought. Here, who is in charge?" Everyone looked at Finn. He didn't falter or hesitate. He held up his hand and gestured toward Luna. "She is. Luna Nozawa is that person. Arrest her." His tone was stern, decisive, and icy in its immediacy. After a brief glance at one another, the officers turned to face Luna, their body language cautious but their emotions bland. One of them said, "Ma'am, we're going to need you to accompany us. Don't resist, please." The weight of the moment overwhelmed Luna, causing her knees to give way and her body to tremble violently. "No," she muttered, her eyes now streaming down her cheeks. "Please don't. This is not possible. I am expecting a child." Bill moved in front of her right away, shielding himself with his arms while his voice boomed through the room. "You won't get her any place. I have a grandchild in her. You will have to deal with me and all of the attorneys I use if you even touch her," he said. "And believe me, you don't want that kind of fight." The officers were frozen in their tracks, their faces showing hesitation. But the sergeant was harder to influence. His tone was stern as he glanced straight at Finn, and then at Bill. "We don't get to make this decision if there are formal charges. It passes through the appropriate channels. Are you bringing charges, Mr. Finnegan?" Finn said without hesitation, "Yes. I want her to be charged. Right away." Like a razor, the words sliced through Luna. When at last her legs buckled, she collapsed to the ground, crying violently and gripping her stomach as if her child's life were slipping out of her grasp along with her own. Once more, the room fell into mayhem with Brooke yelling, "This has gone too far." Ridge begging for calm, Steffi hiding her mouth in shock, Bill crouching next to her and murmuring assurances. Finn though? Finn remained still. He didn't falter. He continued to stare at the woman who had previously been a part of his universe with icy, unblinking eyes. He had already decided. With caution, the police moved nearer, but Bill stood up like a lion protecting its young, his face inches from the sergeant's. He growled, "Before you touch her, you'll have to drag me out of here in chains." They established a standoff. Finn, Bill, Luna, and the police were all engaged in a conflict that went beyond simple questions of right and wrong, guilt and innocence, and law and mercy. Blood, family, and the kind of devastating, instinctive love and hate that only the bold and the beautiful could provide were all part of it. One thing was certain as the hospital room's nervous stillness replaced the sirens outside. The next step would permanently alter everyone's life. The officers paused as they looked around the hospital room that had turned into a battlefield, their hands lingering close to their belts. This was different from the many home fights and shouting battles they had witnessed. This arrest wasn't straightforward. They could feel the heat radiating from every corner of the room as strong names, family dynasties, and years of animosity collided. With a calm yet authoritative voice, the sergeant took a single, deliberate step forward. "Mr. Get out of here, Spencer. We aren't here to argue. We have protocols to adhere to. We must process any charges that Mr. Finnegan may be submitting." Bill's laughing lacked humor, and was abrasive and harsh. "Procedures?" He spat and grew to his full height, looming over the policeman with a commanding presence that had overtaken courtrooms and boardrooms. "Sergeant, let me clarify something for you. Handcuffing a pregnant woman, especially my daughter-in-law, is never justified by any method," he said. "You'll back the hell off unless you want to wake up tomorrow with your badge in a pile of lawsuits and your department dragged across every news outlet in Los Angeles." His words were filled with danger, not just any threat, but the type that comes from decades and billions of brutal wars. With tears streaming down her cheeks, Luna, still on her knees, gripped Bill's arm. With a trembling voice she said, "Please, please don't let them take me." Her body trembled with fear, not just for herself but also for the precious life inside her, and she was scarcely able to breathe through the cries. "This baby is too important for me to lose. I can't make it through prison. Please, Finn, I didn't intend to." However, Finn interrupted her like a blade cutting through her entreaties. His voice thundered across the room, hard as steel. "Luna, stop acting. You've had enough of controlling people. Don't pretend to be the victim right now. Do you believe that a baby justifies all you've done? Do you believe that having a child makes you invincible? Not now. Not with me." His face was etched with betrayal and fatigue, and his chest heaved with each word, his rage implacable. Steffi's hand sprang out and firmly grasped his arm. "Stop, Finn," her voice cracked with intensity as she begged. "You're not this. You're not the type of man who calls the police on expectant mothers. You're not this mean." She stepped forward, making him look into her eyes, looking for the husband she knew, the kind physician who had vowed to heal rather than destroy. "Take a look at yourself. You're allowing your anger to control you. You're changing into someone I don't even know anymore." Finn's mask broke for the first time. His eyes were wet with feelings he was trying to suppress, and pain flickered across his features. His voice broke as he muttered, "Steffi, you don't understand. You have no idea what she has done to us and to me. You have no idea how many nights I've mentally relived everything, wondering how we allowed her into our life, and how we allowed her to ruin everything we had worked so hard to create. I can't. I won't let her keep destroying us." His words were rough and heavy with the pain of a man divided between love and hate, justice and retribution. Now impatient, the sergeant gestured for his officers to get up. "We're squandering time." "Ma'am," he added to Luna in a more serious tone, "you must accompany us. We will be forced to use force if you don't comply." Before Luna could react, Bill's howl reverberated across the room. "You'll assault my lifeless corpse." He moved forward, slamming his chest into the officers, and his overwhelming presence stopped them cold. "Touch her, and you'll regret it for the rest of your life." His voice was low, menacing, and full of assurances that he meant to fulfill. The younger cop glanced at the sergeant, obviously shaken. "Maybe we should wait, sir. This isn't normal." However, Finn took a step forward, his anger erupting and his patience gone. "Perform your duties," he yelled at the policeman. "Why do you hesitate? Take her into custody. She should be in prison since she is a criminal." The room exploded. Luna wailed more intensely and clung to Bill's shield. "Finn, please stop this before it's too late," screamed Steffi. Ridge attempted to intervene, shouting over the commotion, "This isn't the way," and Brooke blurted out, "Oh my God! What are we doing?" as her tears streamed freely. With furious eyes and a loud voice, Bill pushed one of the officers back when they moved again. "You won't take her. Not with my blood still in her." His statement caused the room to tremble once more as everyone realized how far Bill was prepared to go. Then amidst the chaos, Luna's voice broke through, feeble yet devastating. "I'm carrying your sibling or your cousin, someone with a connection to you. Please, Finn, don't treat me like way. Avoid doing this to the infant," she said. "You'll regret it for the rest of your life." For a brief moment, the room fell silent as everyone turned to face Finn, hoping that her appeal would break through the barrier of rage he had erected around himself.